Are you planning to bring your beloved pets to New Zealand but feeling overwhelmed by the process? From navigating strict import regulations to finding the right pet export company, it can seem daunting. But don't worry, today I'll guide you through everything you need to know to ensure a smooth journey for both you and your furry friend, including how to get the best quotes from trusted pet relocation experts. This video will cover the export process in more detail, including comparing and discussing quotes from industry-leading registered pet exporters. If you missed it, check out part 1 of this 3-part series to find out more about how to get started with the process and get a general overview of the pet relocation process as a whole. We'll start off with a closer look at step 4 and 5 from the previous video. It will be helpful here to refer to the PDF guides downloaded in the first video as you follow along. For the purpose of this video, I'm looking at the Category 3 country PDF for both cats and dogs. Step 4. Get your pet vaccinated. The previous video will give you an overview of this step and discuss the RNAT timeline in more detail. In today's video, we go deeper by taking a look at what is required for each pet under this step. Remember, cats and dogs need to get microchipped before any vaccinations or testing. Refer to step 1 in the previous video. Dogs require a number of vaccinations, namely canine distemper, infectious canine hepatitis, canine parvovirus, canine parainfluenza, kennel cough, and canine influenza. Cats only require what is known as a 3-in-1 vaccination, which is feline calicivirus, feline panleukopenia, and feline rhinotracheitis. Dogs, however, require some additional testing and treatments, namely canine heartworm, which is an enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay test done in the 30 days prior to flying, and a preventative treatment such as ivermectin is administered in the 4 days prior to flying. Leptospirosis is a preventative dose of doxycycline over 14 days, which can be administered, or a microscopic agglutination test can be done with a negative result in the 30 days prior to flying. If you chose the MAT but got a positive result, please refer to the PDF for more information. There's also a Babesia immunofluorescence antibody test or enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay test, which is done with a negative test result in the 16 days prior to flying. You can choose to do a PCR test, but you'll need 2 negative samples collected 30 to 37 days apart, where the second sample should fall in the 16 days prior to departure. Babesia testing is only for pets who've ever traveled or resided in South Africa in the Category 3 countries, where rabies is well controlled or absent. If your dog has ever been diagnosed with this, they are not eligible to come to New Zealand. There's also a Brucella rapid slide agglutination test or tube agglutination test, or a cytoplasmic agar gel immunodiffusion test, which is done with a negative result in the 16 days prior to flying. If your dog got a positive result, please refer to the PDF for more information, as a positive result isn't necessarily a diagnosis. But if your pet has ever been diagnosed with this, they are not eligible to come to New Zealand. The last is just a vet examination of their external genitalia, which can be done with a final vet exam in the 2 days prior to departure for canine transmissible venereal tumors. Remember, both cats and dogs will need to get their initial rabies vaccination and preferably a booster shot 1 month later. Step 5. Both cats and dogs will need to get a rabies neutralizing antibody titer test or RNAT 1 month after their booster shot, or after their initial shot, depending on the circumstances outlined in the previous video. Remember, both cats and dogs need to get internal and external parasite treatment in the 4 and 30 days prior to flying. The 4-day one can be done with a final vet visit in the 2 days prior to flying. Remember, cats and dogs need to get a final vet exam in the 2 days prior to flying. This is just to check that your pets are free from signs of external parasites, infections, or contagious diseases that could spread to other pets in quarantine. Backtracking to step 3, start getting quotes from exporters that will cater to your origin city or origin country by using the link provided in the first video for IPATA registered pet exporters. You might want to read reviews for them or ask other people who've been through the process for their experiences and recommendations. This group is an excellent resource for that. I've obtained quotations from 4 of the industry-leading exporters that service the area I immigrated from. These prices will become outdated with time, and the video isn't meant to promote any of these companies. Therefore, the names will be censored and the pricing is dissected to showcase how quotes will differ between companies and why. This is meant to function as a tool that will guide you through this step of the process and help you understand what you're dealing with so that you can select a company that works best for your individual needs and circumstances. The main difference that will catch your eyes at first glance are that Company C is significantly more expensive than the rest. The company noted as supplementary Company A works together with Company A to provide a comprehensive service. They even have additional services like sedative collars and medication to help with making the transitional journey a bit easier for your pet. Pets can't be sedated for the flight, however. Many of these services offered are included in the quoted totals. These are noted as INCL for included, and many on the contrary are excluded as they don't offer those services in-house. These are noted as NA or not applicable. Most companies offer a standard 30-day boarding in their cattery or kennels. These are excluded from the total cost at the bottom because they are not a necessity to add on. Company B offers a fortnight option only, where Company C and D offer shorter options of 5 and 6 days. Supplementary Company A does customize this to your need, however, as their quote includes a per-day charge that you can use to calculate your desired length of stay with. Another thing to note is that the flight cost that is included in the total is for both one cat and one dog. Cats are generally cheaper because they weigh so much less and have smaller crates. So small dogs can cost close to that of cats, whereas large dog breeds will cost a pretty penny, especially if you have multiple. Some airlines also have regulations against snub-nosed dogs, so please talk to your chosen exporter about your pet breeds well ahead of time. Another noteworthy thing to keep in mind is not only your origin city or country, but also your destination city in your destination country. There aren't many official quarantine centers in New Zealand. You can only choose between Auckland or Christchurch. This will mean checking that your exporter can ship to Christchurch if you'll be based in the South Island, and noting the price difference for that trip, or arranging transport or domestic flights that accept pets if you chose Auckland instead. We'll cover quarantine in the next video, so don't forget to check in for part 3. There are multiple parts of this section of the journey that can be reduced in price by simply doing them at your local vet instead of using their vet services, especially if your vet actually has experience in the exporting requirements and is able to complete the documentation mentioned in the last video. You could also look into purchasing your IATA approved travel crates secondhand from the Facebook group I mentioned earlier in the video, if you can find someone close by. But these usually come without the approved bedding, as this gets incinerated upon arrival in New Zealand. At this point, in a paced and planned timeline, you should have between 1 to 6 months left before departure, depending on your and your pet's circumstances. Now the big wait begins for the flight to New Zealand, and soon you can move on to the third and final portion of the process. At the end of the step-by-step PDF guide, you'll find a useful checklist where you can start marking off the section stating in the 6 to 12 months before export or the 7 to 8 weeks before export, as well as noting down the dates and any other important information for your reference. We cover quarantine in the next video, but quotations for these should not be left for the last minute, as bookings need to be made well in advance to secure your spot for the arrival dates. If you've recently experienced relocating your pets to a new country or know someone who has, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. And if you're looking for more tips on pet care during the big move and the quarantine section of the process, be sure to check out my next video. Thanks for watching.